Hi, back again, and this time I plan on starting off a preparation series of reports regarding the Lincon tournament that's coming up in about a month. Since I don't have enough time to practice with a new army, I plan on reusing much of the list I brought to DEF CON earlier this year, which means it's Dreadolf time again. Overall, I was very happy about how the army worked for me during that tournament. It had some rather big problems dealing with other shooty avoidance lists, which I learned the hard way against Kai's Dreadolfs. But other than that, it felt rather stable. To mitigate the weakness against the shooty armies, I've made some minor changes, which I feel should even out the potential avoidance mirror a bit, without losing too much of the army's strength. First off, I retired the Kraken in favor of a Cloak Assassin. The Assassin should have about the same survivability and damage output as the Kraken, and to top it off, it has some ranged potential together with the Scout option. One thing that the Assassin lacks is the ability to deal with blocks. Because of that, I chose a block of spears instead of the crossbows, who never did much for me anyway. That also gives me quite extra edge against cavalry, since the lethal blow buff from the altar can be awesome. Not that you see much cavalry out there, but anyway. Besides that, I swapped the Cloak of Shadows on the BSB for Skull Splitter, choosing offense as the best defense. My prince dropped the Divine Icon for Ring of Fire, also to get more ranged ability. One change I will try out is losing Great Weapon on the Raven Cloaks for one more body instead. For Lincon, I hopefully will be joined by the youngest addition to my gaming group, Gustav. Besides doing well for myself, I also have the goal of him getting a great experience by doing well too in his first big tournament. We have only played 3 games so far, and I have only played with Orcs and Warriors. Those have been rather straightforward lists, as have all the other opposition he has played against so far. So I felt obliged to give him some experience from other kinds of lists too. Because of that, he got a taste of the Highborn Avoidance some weeks ago. I forgot to take any pictures from that game, but his dwarfs that he has chosen to bring to Lincon were severely beaten by the Highborns. We discussed some needed changes, and in this report he will face my Dreadolfs instead. The list looked like this. We rolled refused flank and secure target for objective. My biggest worry in his list is the anvil, which I will be hard pressed to avoid and kill for that matter. I got to choose corner and decided I wanted to use the hills to block the line of sight, and therefore chose the lower right. One objective you don't see behind the windmill, and one that you can see is in front of my raiders. He decided to go first, so he dropped everything. From the top he have his anvil, mostly just a base at this point. Then the depot with the general and the BSB. Behind those he got the war machines. Next the greybeards, the marksmen and the seekers with the dragon seeker. From my top we have the corsairs, dancers with general, spears with the BSB, acolytes, raiders, and to the bottom left raven cloaks with the assassin. I was eager to pick at his rather unprotected stuff with my shooting, so I deployed them at the bottom. A bit of a spoiler, but deploying that way is something I hopefully won't do again, since it will punish me severely later on. My blocks are planning to mostly hang back, since I don't see them doing much good pushing forward. On the top, the Corsair's only duty is to secure the objective behind the windmill. So he starts off by moving the seekers into the field and turning his marksman around. He gets a rather good magic phase, both getting hard target on the seekers and also killing free dancers with rune of shattering. Only the cannon is in range, but it miss. So my turn, I take the assassin out of the seeker's charge arc and advance the acolytes up, still keeping them rather safe. Other than that, the dancers and the corsairs move up a little. My magic phase fail utterly, but at least shooting kill 4 seekers. It's now my failure to realize my deploy mistake bites me in the ass as he get a 10-inch charge in on the Ravencloaks. That damn greediness keeping me from just backing them to safety. He also decides to push to get in combat, so his blocks march full speed with the anvil tagging along behind. Magic, and this time he get gleaming off on the seekers and this time he again get gleaming off on the seekers and then gets a wound in on the assassin with the Rune of Storms. His marksman killed 2 raiders, but they stick. For combat, his Dragon Seeker makes short work of the Ravencloaks and I maybe killed 2 back before running off the board. The assassin thankfully decides to stay. At this point he has left me with a charge on the cannon, so the acolytes take that one. The other acolytes moves to threaten the organ gun or the altar. In hindsight, it's a rather stupid move, since they will eat organ gun, and if I'm lucky I will survive. The assassin dances around the seekers and the raiders repositions a bit. Magic, and I still get nothing through, or perhaps I got pyroclastic flow off on his marksman, but it didn't do much. Shooting does nothing. In combat I do 4 wounds to the cannon, but it sticks, so overall a rather sad turn 2 for me. He continues to advance with the blocks. His Seeker Lord dances around the assassin while the last Seekers run for safety. Once again he gets a good magic phase, killing 4 acolytes with shattering and getting gleaming off on the deep watch. His organ gun takes out the lone acolyte champ after me saving 5 out of 7 wounds with a ward save. In combat I finish off the cannon, which panic is in the rear of the board. The acolytes then charge the organ gun. My blocks don't want to fight, so I back up while the corsairs sneak past the deep watch. The assassin continues to dance with the Dragon Seeker, thinking I should kill it eventually. This turn I at least get Breath of Corruption off, and for shooting I pick a Greybeard off, and the 3 wounds I get in on his different Seekers he saves by rolling all 6s, of course. In combat I destroy the organ gun, and since the altar has such a sneaky appearance I totally forget about it being there and instead face the marksman. In his turn he is getting tired of my assassin and moves his Dragon Seeker into the corner of the board, making it impossible for me to get out of line of sight and still shoot him. His blocks continue to march forward, cornering my dancers and the spears. Or at least the dancers. For once he failed to do much with his magic, and I think he got storm off on my acolytes, but ward save worked too good. Shooting and he can't reach anything. It's my turn 4 and I charge the acolytes into the back of his marksman. After much trouble I charged both my blocks into the deep watch. I had hoped to get into his greybeards, but the dancers were 1 inch short of clearing the deep watch to get in, and staying put was never an option. In hindsight, I should have left the spears out of it, since the rank bonus wasn't enough to compensate for the easy kills it would bring. This situation felt way too much in his favor to be of any comfort, and didn't help that it first occurred to me this turn to chaff his greybeards. One ranger unit managed to get in their way, but if I don't manage to break his deep watch with a leadership 10 rollerball until his last turn, it looks very bad. The assassin moved 12 inch away from his dragon seeker to shoot him again. Another magic phase without much good done, and shooting might have killed one greybeard. It's the third turn of shooting where the assassin failed to do a single wound, which is very disappointing to say the least. In combat, the acolytes easily break the marksman. When it comes to the important combat, it's almost ridiculous that I, with all my combat units charging, impact hits, Lord, BSB, you name it, I only get 4 wounds through. He does 6 to me, and it's a tight combat with my general clinging to his last wound. In his turn, the greybeards charged into the raiders. The dragon seeker charged the assassin, and with the seeker still being at full health, I gave up killing it and choose to flee instead. I honestly think it's rather weird with a dwarf having a higher initiative than an elf assassin, but it is what it is. The seeker failed the charge, and for magic I dispel gleaming, and I failed the rest, I think. In combat, my raiders cut 2 beards before they die, and the main fight I continue being raped by my own dice, only doing 4 wounds. At least I get some ward saves on the dancers, but he still does 4 wounds back, including the last on my general. I win by 1, but he has no problem sticking around, being stubborn and all. My last chance to break the deep watch or do some severe damage to the greybeards. So first off, the assassin rally. Next I surround his greybeards, and the corsairs just go to claim the objective. Magic, and I get Breath of Corruption off and fail the bolt on 4 dice. It's just the way my dice are going. Shooting, and between raiders and breath I do 0 wounds on the beards. 0. Yeah. In combat, my rolling goes from awful to a bit less awful, and again I win by 1. It's my last chance, or it's game over, and just to taunt me, he rolls snake eyes for the break test. It's his last turn, and the greybeards decide it's game time to end this and charge the spears in the flank. For magic, he killed 3 acolytes, but I dispel gleaming. So combat goes as predicted, and it wouldn't have mattered if I for once hadn't not rolled like crap. He wins big and run down the altar unit. I ran the dancers in the wrong direction, so it might seem they got away. They actually should have run off the board straight from the deep watch, but that was corrected when we added the points anyways. It's my last turn, and I'm thinking it's better to cause some range panic than to take a chance of perhaps causing a steadfast 10 break test. My magic got breath off, and I also sacrificed 2 of my corsairs in vain. Shooting, and I rolled crap for the breath, but at least killed 1 deep watch. The raiders actually pulled through, killing 2 more, forcing that longed for panic. But it's not even close for the panic test, so all for nothing. Well, the dwarves won big, 15-5, but at least I got the objective. You might think I blame the dice much in this game, but in fact most of the times the dice failed me were in a situation where my chances were really slim to begin with. In hindsight, I played really bad from deploy all the way to at least turn 5. I threw away the Ravencloaks, a whole unit of Acolytes, and also the Spears, all for nothing really. I also didn't chaff enough with the Raiders and let myself be cornered by Dwarfs. Dwarfs, it's amazing. Yeah, here I have one of the fastest armies you can bring, and the Dwarfs managed to corner you. Well, the only thing I think I worked well was the surviving Acolyte unit, which basically gave me all the points I got. Even the Corsairs I think I should have used as chaff and perhaps still be able to claim the objective if I had done it correctly. Well, perhaps I need to worry more about doing well for myself than to worry for Gustav's sake, as he seems to be able to handle himself. I should be able to get some more games in before Lincon, so see you soon.